In 2022, Uttarakhand government's Migration Commission conducted a ground survey in 137 border villages. The team made a shocking discovery. 11 villages near the Indo-China border were completely abandoned. As the empty villages are a security risk, the state government formed the Him Prahari Force. Ex-servicemen and local youth were commissioned as Him Prahari units. They assisted border security forces and encouraged locals to stay in their villages. In Uttarakhand, most of the migration happens between the districts. Many moved to the plain districts of Dehradun, Haridwar and Udham Singh Nagar because these areas are more developed. Over the time, more and more people permanently relocated their families in search of better jobs, education, and healthcare, leaving the villages in the hills behind. When the state was formed in 2000, it transitioned from an agriculture-driven economy to a manufacturing hub with industries such as pharmaceuticals and automobiles. Agriculture sector accounts for only 10% of the state's GDP, but it employs nearly 70% of the population. The sector is in serious trouble. Outdated migration methods, small land holding, and now climate change are harming it badly. In the last decade, climate change has increased annual temperatures by 0.46 degrees centigrade, bringing noticeable changes to the environment in the hills.
उत्तराखंड में एक तरफ जहां चार धाम यात्रा चरम पर है तो वहीं दूसरी तरफ गर्मी भी अपने पूरे चरम पर है।
हर साल पहले 2023 को सबसे गर्म साल मानते थे, फिर 24 आया तो 24 उससे गर्म निकल गया। अब ये 25 की शुरुआत भी ऐसी हो रही है।
This affected crop productivity, making farming as a livelihood more difficult and pushing more people to migrate. According to the 2011 census, 1,048 villages out of 16,793 villages in the state were declared ghost villages, where less than 10 people live. As per the recent estimates, the number is around 2,000, a jump of 100%. All 10 hill districts registered a decrease in population in the 2011 census. Climate change is transforming the state on a massive scale, reshaping its very foundation. So why are people leaving the hills and climate change making it worse? India's CO2 emissions account for 9.5% of the global total. Also, it's one of the most vulnerable nations to the effects of climate change. It ranks 6th among the countries most affected by climate change in 2022. With diverse geological features including beaches, deserts, mountains and plains, each region experiences its unique challenges. According to a November 2024 study conducted by researchers from Banaras Hindu University, Uttarakhand is among the most vulnerable states in India to climate change. Being a hill state and part of the Himalayas, Uttarakhand has been experiencing unique changes due to climate change. Uttarakhand was formed in 2000 after separating from Uttar Pradesh. It has 3 plain districts and 10 hill districts. Rain-fed agriculture is the primary source of income in hill districts, so appropriate climate conditions are crucial for productivity. But in the last decade, climate change effects have become more evident in the hills.
More than 40 people are feared trapped. And this is after an avalanche that hit the Mana village in the Chamoli district.
To understand its impact, we must look at 4 key factors: rising temperature, melting glaciers, changing rainfall patterns, and increasing landslides. Let's start with temperatures. Between 1911 and 2011, Uttarakhand registered an increase of 0.46 centigrade in mean annual temperature. In the following decades, it kept getting warmer. Last summer, every district experienced extreme heat waves. In June, Dehradun's temperature exceeded 40 degrees centigrade for 11 consecutive days.
देहरादून में तो गर्मी ने पिछले 10 सालों का रिकॉर्ड तोड़ दिया है। राजधानी में अधिकतम तापमान 41 डिग्री से ऊपर पहुंच चुका है।
Hill districts like Uttarkasi, Chamoli, Rudraprayag and Pithogarh warmed the most, while Haridwar, Dehradun and Pauri Garhwal saw less warming. It is clear that the hill districts are experiencing elevation-dependent warming. According to the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the annual temperature is expected to increase by 1.6 degrees centigrade by 2050 and 2.7 by 2099. This warming climate is putting pressure on glaciers. Experts at the Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology in Dehradun state that all 900 glaciers in Uttarakhand are melting due to global warming. The reason behind the melting of Himalayan glaciers is black carbon, which comes from gas and diesel engines and coal-fired power plants. Black carbon accelerates glacier melting by increasing heat absorption. This will fast-track the movement of water from mountains to rivers, diminishing future reserves. Then, the sudden break of glaciers into lakes or rivers create flash floods. One such incident happened in the Rishiganga River, when a glacier broke off near Ronte Peak in the Nanda Devi range. Large amounts of ice, debris and water then rushed into the river.
उत्तराखंड में हिमस्खलन से एक भारी तबाही इस वक्त हुई है। ये खबरें लगातार आ रही हैं। दोपहर के बाद से हिमस्खलन से चमोली की ऋषिगंगा नदी में बाढ़ आ गई है और ऋषिगंगा पावर प्रोजेक्ट बह गया है।
Over 200 people lost their lives and the river's flow damaged multiple power projects. With the rising temperature, the moisture in the atmosphere is also increasing. More water is evaporating from the surface of the earth. This leads to denser clouds and heavier rainfall, which will become more frequent as temperatures continue to rise. Last year, after intense summer heat, the state experienced extreme rainfall. Between July 1st and 10th, the total rainfall in the state was 239.1 mm compared to the usual 118.6 mm, marking an increase of 102%. For example, Kedar Valley in the Rudraprayag district received 16% more rainfall than usual. In just 10 days, Bageshwar district recorded its highest rainfall, totaling 357.2 mm compared to the usual 77.7 mm. Udham Singh Nagar and Champawat districts reported rainfall surplus of 280% and 272%. Also, it's now raining in some places where it used to snow. Kedarnath, which hardly received any rain before, is now facing heavy rains during the season. The true scale of the rainfall is still hard to understand as the state has insufficient meteorological stations. These rains cause flash floods and landslides mainly in the hills.
This is a video of a terrible landslide that occurred on the Badrinath National Highway in Joshimath.
In 2023, 1,000 landslides occurred in the state, up from 245 the previous year. With multiple infrastructure projects in ecologically sensitive areas and the impacts of climate change, the entire ecosystem is under threat. All these effects are putting stress on farming in the state, where 90% of the agriculture depends on rainfall. Farming in Uttarakhand changes with the height of the land and the weather. In the hilly regions, farmers practice terrace farming where land is cut into steeps to prevent soil erosion and make farming possible. They grow fruits such as apples, plums, apricots, peaches and pears. In recent times, medicinal plants such as ashwagandha, brahmi and kutki have also become popular. In the plains, large fields are common and farmers mainly grow rice, wheat, pulses and vegetables. The average land holding is just 0.67 hectares, mostly in the hills. This is because only 14% of the state's land is available for agriculture and there is an unequal distribution of land among high and low caste families. With growing climate change effects like rising temperatures, intense rainfall, unpredictable weather and less snowfall, farmers must find new ways to adapt. But with such limited land holding, farmers are struggling to adopt modern agriculture practices and cannot even earn an average income. The government and NGOs are trying to help by introducing new crops to maintain profitability. They are promoting the cultivation of herbs and medicinal crops because they are more climate tolerant. The government has launched crop insurance schemes like Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana to protect farmers, but overall farming production in the state is declining. Extreme heat is leading to forced maturity in both lychee and mangoes. The dryness has shrunk the size of the fruit. From 2016 to 2023, production levels for several fruits declined. Apples decreased by 39.36%, peaches by 11.97%, mangoes by 11.66%, pears by 9.66% and plums by 9.5%. In such conditions, people are leaving farming and the state has lost 1.2 lakh hectares of agricultural land in the last 2 decades. Those who left farming are migrating to different districts, mainly to the plains in search of other income opportunities. Migration has long been part of life in Uttarakhand. In the 12th century, people from different parts of India moved to the hills, cleared jungles and built farms to settle. During the British era, many people left the state to join the British Indian Army. After independence, migration to nearby cities and districts continued for a sustainable livelihood. Mostly men migrated for income, while women managed the farm work. This changed after the state split from Uttar Pradesh as families began migrating permanently. Between 2001 and 2011, the hilly region's population contribution fell from 53 in 2001 to 48% in 2011. While the plains region's population grew, many moved there in search of better opportunities. People move out for multiple reasons, including better education, healthcare, natural disasters, and wildlife attacks. But low agriculture productivity remains one of the main reasons. Now, climate change has become a key factor linking farming and migration. Way back in 1990, the IPCC mentioned migration as the gravest effect of climate change. Families used to grow everything from wheat to vegetables, enough for themselves, and sold the rest for income. Now they barely earn a minimum income from agriculture. With no other sources of income in villages, more people are migrating for better opportunities. According to the recent estimates, around 2,000 villages have become ghost villages and are now completely uninhabitable. The state is trapped in a vicious cycle where climate change harms agriculture, reducing livelihood and income. This forces families to migrate, leaving farms behind. As more families leave, others follow, eventually turning villages into ghost towns. This adds pressure on the cities in the plain districts like Dehradun, which are already overcrowded. The influx of migrants increase competition for jobs, housing and essential services, causing higher unemployment, rising property prices and strained public resources like healthcare and education. What's the government doing to stop this migration? The government is trying to solve the issue through self-employment schemes, tourism promotion and small industries. The Migration Commission is organizing self-employment workshops where officials discuss government schemes and promote self-reliance. Schemes such as the Solar Self-Employment Scheme encourage individuals to invest in solar power solutions by providing training and financial support. Participants can set up small solar plants and earn income by selling electricity to the State Power Corporation. To promote entrepreneurship, the government is encouraging people to start their businesses by setting up small-scale industries. Homestays and ecotourism are being promoted to create employment opportunities in tourism by leveraging Uttarakhand's natural beauty. Since these measures are recent, their impact will become clear in the coming years. Addressing migration requires a long-term vision and proactive steps. While improving farming techniques, irrigation and infrastructure, a larger shift towards sustainable development and economic diversification is needed. The government must ensure that rural areas become viable places to live and work. Without active help from the government, locals will continue migration and the hills of Uttarakhand may lose their vibrant communities, leaving behind only the abandoned homes and memories of the past.